Okay. Uh, how am I to start these videos? Can't do hello and welcome. Um, Hello YouTube. Hello YouTube, and welcome back to my weekly show that comes out once a month. So, what's been happening? I was just going to go over my previous videos and see how many views I've had. 10 views, 4.8 thousand views, 17 views, 32 views, 2 views, that's both me I think. 26 views, the non-review has more views than the actual review, 11 views. 2 views, that's probably me twice I think. 1 view, only watched it once. And 2 views, that's probably me twice as well. Anyway, what I wanted to do is oh, no. No thanks. Brief history of YouTube content for the since last time I did this. You can see what I've been watching here. What do I want to get back to? First, it's just back here somewhere, I think. Geez, a lot of videos. Not far. Oh, there's this Singer and Williams reveal their breathtaking new Porsche. Looks like a beautiful car. Anyway, you can see I have a bit of a guilty pleasure of watching Shmee videos. Well, you have to have something like that every now and again. And is it wrong to watch illegally uploaded videos on YouTube? I don't know if that's wrong or not, but they're there. So there's a few Rick and Morty things, obviously. I shared Michael McIntyre's video with somebody, then I watched a couple. And for some reason I quite like this G-Shock. But they're a bit too big for my little wrists. This is the EV West car, electric Common gear. And the Fisker was released. Mentioned, not released, it's coming out later on. Life like animatronic, this Abraham Lincoln is amazing. And the little guy over in the UK, Damien Maguire, has decided to convert his BMW to a Tesla drive BMW, and it's going quite well. And here's an urban gentry guy with one of his mates, fully charged. More Shmee, more of that. How you can activate Tesla Model 3 autopilot. Clarkson admitting that Tesla these days is probably okay, but the first one was still crap. 2-minute papers, definitely highly recommended to subscribe to that. More watches, more Grand Tour, more. Tom Stanton is testing out regenerative braking on his bicycle. And then number 5, Model 3 test drive. These guys here had all their stuff stolen from their van, which included everything they needed to convert it to electric. Very upsetting for them. And this fully charged one with all the different autonomous vehicles, but not really autonomous. They're all just electric little personal vehicles, all in one place in Paris. Great little episode there. Yes, why you can't go faster than light? Well, I've got one of these things, but he did it with equations. And then there's I didn't watch all of that one. I think it was played automatically at the end. Yeah, this watch guy he's pretty cool. I think if you have to cast somebody as a, and then he wouldn't be. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he just looks just like you think maybe like a white supremacist sort of guy from Nazi Germany would. But no, he's a really nice. I don't think he's like that at all. I've only ever heard him say nice things, but he looks like that, and he always has his hair back like that. Never mind, it's okay. Some trailers coming out. Thoroughbreds. I don't know what that was about. 2-minute papers. So you can start to look at neural networks and get them to express themselves and see exactly what would trigger a neural network to its maximum. So what would get it most excited? These little neural networks are trying to recognize things in pictures, try to recognize styles or objects. And so after you've trained it for a while, you can then say, give me a picture, or get one neural network, maybe they get one to do the other. Create a neural network that gets the other neural network as excited as possible. What would trigger its little neurons the most, the maximum, when trying to detect a certain thing, say a flower or a person's face or an eye or any of that sort of thing. Rather than actually try and find photos that do trigger that to the maximum extent, let it show you what that picture would look like if you could find it. And it creates really cool looking images actually, and I guess it helps them study neural networks. Now you know there's in-depth stuff. McIntyre calling Snake, it's very good to me. That it turns out that urban gentry guy, he has 3 knives. He keeps them. He has one in his wallet. He has just one around, and then he has another one, I think, on his keyring. So you can never have enough knives if you're living in New York. Doug DeMuro does a great little job looking at the really expensive old Mercedes box on wheels. And Minefield. There's a free episode you can watch, and they look at what happens when you let somebody decide whether they're going to kill 1 person or 5 people by saving the 5 people from a runaway train. But by saving the 5 people from a runaway train, you will kill 1 person. And it's a challenging thing to watch. Very good, obviously. It's a Vsauce thing. Yes, more of that. Okay, I've had a bit of a fixation lately on Rick and Morty because I was behind. And watches as well, and exoskeletons to help you at work. That's a good little video. The Lamborghini Espada. I must admit, after watching his video on that car, which it seems that people flew him out to Abu Dhabi, whatever it is, just to have a look at some cars, and he did a video on one of them, which is that one. I reckon it's pretty cool. Anyway, Dob Redmond's just he only needed 4 runs to have an average score of 100, and he got out on the dark. Yeah, we all know that, but maybe not. People around the world don't know. Every Australian knows that. Do atoms ever touch? it's an argument about semantics, about what touching is. And they get a little bit, what's his name? The guy who does the 60 symbols and number 5, what's his name? Brady. And this guy, they're sort of he's trying not to piss him off, and the other guy's trying not to get pissed off. But they're sort of at odds. And the weird thing is, I think he didn't ask the right questions. He should have said, what happens when particles get pushed beyond the point of when they're technically called touching? So this guy is making the point that, and you should go and look at the video, that touching is when the repulsion force between atoms and the attraction force between atoms balance. So they both cancel each other out. And that point is when the two atoms are pretty close together, I would imagine, because the repulsive forces only happen because I'm guessing the nucleus of each, the actual body of each atom starts to feel the electromagnetic repulsive force from the similarly charged particles. But before that, the electrons roam further afield because they're quantum objects, and they end up sort of attracting to the core of the other atom when they're further apart. Anyway, when those two things cancel, the two atoms aren't touching in what you might expect if you're talking about two real life-size objects, but they're decided to be touching in terms of physics. So not physically touching. And as this guy pointed out, that physically touching an atom doesn't have much meaning, so you may as well just have an arbitrary point where we'd say they are touching. And the critical question I found would have been interesting is, what happens when you start pushing it past that point? Do you end up with... Does the other atom then start to move away? Is that force required enormous? Anyway, they didn't talk about that. It's opportunity missed. He obviously, he gets upset about it. He's sort of upset. EV4U Custom Conversions, which is one of the many YouTube channels you should watch in fast forward. At least twice, 2 times speed or 1.5 times speed. Him and the other guy, actually a lot of amateur channels you should watch in fast forward, just a little hint there. Anyway, they've started a new series converting a Datsun to 240, I think, 280. There's Smee's new green car. I hate green cars. Chris Harris has to sort of admit that to sort of liking the Model S. And then I discovered these scammers scamming the scammers. Rich Vane is from a long time ago. These videos, a lot of them are quite old, but they are hilarious. Listening to people who know what they're doing let tech scammers try to scam their computer, and they are very entertaining to watch, although a little addictive, and possibly once you've seen one, you've sort of seen them all, I guess, but there's something about a good feeling. 60 symbols, much like that. Halifax explosion is quite fascinating. Big, huge explosion in Nova Scotia in 1917, as you can see there. Indian scammers keep scamming at me, screaming at me, very funny. Anyway. Yeah, so these do get quite funny. One guy put an FBI background screen on his computer, and so when these tech scams, you look at that, it looked like it was an FBI computer, and then he pulled up a bunch of FBI, I don't know if they were real images, but he said they were images of people who were wanted for scamming on it. And so when this person logged onto his computer to help him make these, tell him that he had viruses and so on, so they all did the same thing. There was the background screen was the FBI's logo. It's quite funny. But yeah, Jim Browning, he's definitely the best one to watch. He actually does research and finds out what's happening. So I got a bit addicted to his videos, or very good, and then I subsequently subscribed to his channel. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. And other people just muck around with them, the poor scam. You can't feel sorry for them because they do scam people. They scam people with hundreds of dollars. It's really funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's funny what these people do, and yeah, you laugh. They destroy their computers essentially, and then you sort of think, well, they can't be. Anyway, video movies coming out, Paddington 2. 10 movie scenes, totally different out of the country. Quite fast, yeah. They change stuff from country. Anyway. Different papers, Grand Tour, little highlights there. Yeah, the Grand Tour shows a bit. They should have talked more about the crash, but they didn't. Anyway. Windshield wipers in the Model 3 you have to put on by touching. I can see what people's problem is. You have to touch the screen, the central screen on the Model 3, twice to get the wipers to go on. You got to press it once to activate the wiper screen, and then you got to decide which one you want to press, how much of a wiper you need. And because that obviously took a bit too long, you can also use a button on a stalk to make the wiper go one time. So I guess you press that, and then you muck around on the other finger on the other screen, I suppose. They've got a little interior 360-degree view of the Model 3. That's quite interesting, actually. The YouTube rewinds come out. I haven't. Half those people nobody has ever heard of. Well, not me anyway. There's more shmee stuff. This is really funny, this mousey. This guy does woodworking. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and this video about a mouse trying to squeeze in and out of holes. It is quite funny, actually. 1.5 million views. It's one of his more highly viewed videos. I think he knows Yahoo. I think that's how you say his name. Garcia. He's a pretty cool videographer and battery EV guy, and he took a bunch of stuff to Puerto Rico to help them rebuild and get electricity, because essentially the Puerto Rican electricity system is kaput, and so starting fresh with renewable is what they're doing. And then one last little thing. This guy at the top here, he gets one. It's pretty funny. He gets one tech support guy, probably a scamming one, so I imagine. And then he calls another one on the other phone, and they start talking to each other, and they get really rude, really fast. It's amazing how rude they get to each other. Oh, yeah, you just have to watch it to see what I mean. You're laughing because you feel a bit uncomfortable, but they do get very rude to each other. So there we have it. Now, if I'll continue another little thing. What's that other little thing I was going to continue? Because there's my weekly show. It comes out once a month. I've finished a bunch of stuff down here. And this wasn't here, I think, last time. See? So what I ended up doing, I put just to join this timber to the bottom bit. This probably should be in a separate video, but what the hell? Maybe, I don't know. I put some super sticky rubber stuff underneath, and then this stuff, which is waterproof, and then I bolted. These are concrete screws, so they they screw in, but they're a bit tricky. You've got to blow when you drill the hole into the concrete, you have to blow the dust out. Otherwise, it makes it too tight, and then if you force it with your what do they call the torque wrench, it'll actually wreck the concrete, and then it'll just spin freely. So it's quite tricky. You sort of have to let it find a groove, but if the dust is in there, it doesn't seem to work for some reason. So you really got to blow the dust out, and then it works just fine. But if you over torque it, it will then tear the concrete, or at least pulverize the concrete, and then it just spins freely. So it's a really fine point. It catches, and if you go too much, you'll wreck it. And then just elsewhere where I thought I needed a little bit of extra. What's going on? I hope it's still recording. Anyway, these little concrete nail things, which have a little plastic expansion thing. They're quite long and go in, and that's just also to provide a bit of extra sort of sideways jolting against that. So that's how I ended up joining the bottom to the concrete. Then I have a metal post in the corner, and so in order to make the timber stick to the metal, because I didn't particularly want to screw through the metal from the timber, I've done some strapping wrapped around there like that, and use the you can, when you hit the nails in, if you put the nail in a long way out, so this piece of metal is way out, and then you put the nail in further across than what it would naturally go, and then you hammer it in until it actually pulls it tight. So you can pull it quite tight with a nail and a hammer. And then also, if you hammer into these corners in here, you can also pull it tight that way. So these are quite tight, holding the timber to the metal post. So inside in there is a metal post. You can see the same thing there. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but anyway, I just did that. Just for a little bit extra, you never know. Maybe the tornado comes through one day, and hopefully it won't get blown away. Right, I'll continue progress on this as I go. That's sort of put a door in. Keeps on going away. And got some old windows in. A clean lens makes for better shots. Yeah, thank you. I've detected that I got a dirty lens, because I did that. Does that make it look dirty? Anyway. Old window in there. Yeah, you know. Okay. That's enough of my weekly video update. Till next time. Over and out, YouTube. Then I have to figure out how to turn this off. It always disappears.